Coming soon. War. Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John, of course, coming to you from the billion-dollar bunker, wink, wink, Kimmy Ward. Kimmy Ward, thank you very much. Not only for sponsoring this morning's Meme Bean, but also for the kind words, ma'am. I appreciate that very, very much. So let's get straight into it. Coming soon, war. And you can actually make a case that we're already there and then some. But I'm going to go over a few things that have happened this week, and I'm going to go into some things, and I'm trying to make an argument that all of this stuff leads only to World War III, nowhere else. All right. So earlier last week, the French president said he's not ruling out boots on the ground in Ukraine. Specifically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but specifically, he was saying, I believe it was Odessa and Kyiv, which would be like Washington, D.C. and New York City, right, for Ukraine. So he's saying if Russia reaches one of those two cities, the French are going to have to put boots on the ground. We covered this a little bit last week. It was a very stupid statement because, again, I don't think that France is the military power that they once were. But I digress. The point is, he's basically admitting NATO's proxy war is not working. Russia, for those that don't know, Russia is gaining ground. There was a static line. The Russians were dug in. They've been fully mobilizing for a while. They have a lot more resources to pull from than Ukraine, including manpower, and they are starting to beat the Ukrainians back. It's just a matter of time at this point. But then, NATO came out and they're like, you shouldn't have said that. And they contacted, the president of France, and then he walked it back eventually last week. And he said, you know what? What I mean is non-combat roles. Boots on the ground, but in a non-combat role sort of way, kind of like, I don't know, homecoming cheerleaders. We're going to be there. We're going to have you a big pep rally. We're going to hold the banners out. We're going to get the Ukrainian soldiers, what's left of that force, fired up. They're going to run through. They're going to bust the banner and go into battle. Of course, this is not what he meant, but this was his way of trying to walk it back. Just a few days ago, the Polish ambassador to France made another stunning statement. It dropped on most people's radars immediately, but not on mine. Poland will be forced to enter the war if Ukraine falls. So what we're seeing now, seeing two things. We're seeing NATO and NATO countries use propaganda to put out one message. We're winning the war. We need to keep pumping money into this war. Blah, 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 blah. They're fighting a proxy war, right? But on the other hand, what we're seeing is we're seeing highly connected people within NATO admitting this proxy war is not working, and Ukraine is eventually going to fall. NATO, of course, denies all of this. We have zero plans to enter. NATO has zero plans to enter Ukraine, get involved directly. And yet back on March the 5th, y'all can Google this. It was very low key and under the radar, if you will. Back on March the 5th, NATO was drilling an amphibious assault against Russia. They were doing this on Poland's border near the Baltic Sea, and there were 9 NATO countries involved. So they are at least drilling and wargaming an invasion of Russia or an invasion into Ukraine, a counteroffensive. And again, this was 9 NATO countries strong. Germany, of course, last week was outed for they're another one of these countries, folks. We don't want to get directly involved. They're spinning the NATO narrative, but then they got caught. They blatantly got caught. They had it was their Air Force, the Luftwaffe, a leaked audio conversation between the top generals. We're going to take out a Russian bridge that goes to Crimea. We need this many of the long-range missiles. This is how we need to strike, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to get into it a little bit further this morning, okay? If you don't mind, real quick, hit that subscribe button. Smash it, son. Smash it. Have fun with it. And if you're already subscribed, who knows? Maybe hit a like or a dislike, whatever. So ask yourself the following questions. All right. If you're not into history, you probably don't care. But for you history folks, when did World War One? When did it actually start? It's debatable. Archduke Ferdinand was oft beside his wife, actually, and this kind of set things into motion, set a chain reaction, if you will. Some historians look to that moment and they say it actually started then because it was only a matter of time at that point. Others are going to look to the I'm going to try and pronounce this, all right? The Schlieffen plan, all right? And all this was a German offensive where they actually invaded two at one. They were going to take out two superpowers at one time using the element of surprise, right? They had the initiative. Let's take them out, take one out quickly, and then dedicate all of our forces over here. So a lot of historians are going to point to that and say that's actually when it started. When did World War II start? Right. So Germany occupied Austria back in 1938. You know, you can say, hey, man, maybe that's when it officially started, or the invasion of Poland in 1939 after they were warned not to do so by Allied powers, right? So the question becomes, when did or when does World War III start? Did this start back with the invasion, the Russian invasion of Ukraine back in 2022? You know, did it escalate? Did it actually start with the events in the Middle East and the music festival and all of this stuff that has taken place since then? Or will it start when NATO officially hangs up the narrative that nobody's biting on anymore and officially enters boots on the ground? Now, what I can tell you, and these things are indicative of a war that is coming, okay? Some people think this war is never coming. And they'll tell you that in chat, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But what I can tell you is the doomsday bunker business is booming. That's kind of a tongue twister, actually, but it's true. Channel News Asia, back on March the 5th, they ran an article in case you're interested. And they said, oh, this has nothing to do with, you know, billionaires getting ready for World War III or the apocalypse. They said billionaires just want privacy. You know, they were talking about Zuckerberg specifically, but they named off like 5 or 6 others, right? They hope to escape crowded areas. Has nothing to do with any sort of apocalypse fear whatsoever. And they put in quotations, an ecosystem of one's own. This is all they're after. They're just tired of being around us commoners. And so they're spending, you know, millions and in some cases billions of dollars to get underground and get everything set up. Yet Mark Zuckerberg, here's case in point, right? Mark Zuckerberg, who owns, what is it, Facebook or Meta now? I don't remember. I still call it Facebook or Fake Book sometimes. Spending insane amounts of money on a 5,000 square foot underground doomsday bunker. So you mean to tell me he's doing this, and it's on a private island, he's doing this to escape people? He's an introvert. He just doesn't want to be around people, son. So he's spending extraordinary amounts of money. In fact, I'm going to pull another article up here. This comes from CBC.ca, which is the mainstream media in Canada, okay? And the name of the article, in case you're interested and you want to pull it up, the ultra rich are prepping for the big one. So which is it? Are these people just introverts and they want to get away from everyone else on planet Earth? Or I'm more inclined to believe the ultra rich are preparing for the big one because they have privileged information that we do not, right? They talk to very important people around the world, and we don't have access to those individuals. We just get on here and ramble on YouTube and people think we're nuts, right? the president of hardened structures. They make underground bunkers that are hardened, military grade bunkers, if you will. Um, they do multi-million dollar bunkers, but also fortified homes, multi-million dollar fortified homes that are above ground. The president of that company said there's been a major uptick in the last 2 or 3 months. When I say a major uptick, I think they were saying 8 or 9,000% jump just in the last couple of months, where they've had millionaires and billionaire clients contacted them. He did say it was weird. He did say the billionaires that contact them they use aliases, or they'll use, a third party or something like that. But people can't get this stuff underground fast enough. I know Ron at Atlas Survival, there's a backlog that's unreal over there because they can only build them fast enough and get them in the ground, delivered and stuff like this and set up fast enough, right? And they've been working max capacity for a while now. Vivos, which is a California shelter manufacturer, they're up 2,000% this year versus this time last year. People are putting things into the ground and fortifying. People with lots and lots of money. Even the average citizen, right? So the average Joe and Jane out there like myself, we ain't got millions of dollars to throw down in the yard here, son. But the average citizen, we are redeveloping what feels like a Cold War mentality, a Cold War attitude. Anybody in chat or replay crowd, did y'all live through the Cold War? You know what I'm talking about when I say that? Like, at any point in time, the lights can go out. At any point in time, the big ones can start hitting. People are developing this attitude once again, and which is great. I actually think that's great. Y'all call me doom or whatever, but I think it's great that more people are thinking ahead. All right, I think that's fantastic. The fewer zombies we have, to me, that's a good thing. But it also means every potential trigger event, every major thing that happens, you're going to see a run on things. You're going to see a run on food and prepping supplies and equipment. Election case in point. All right. What are we going to see with this election one way or another? Just prior to the election, just after the election, we're going to see a run on guns and ammo. Promise you. 1,000% promise, guarantee it right now. People that have guns are going to want tons of ammo, right? Because there's this uneasiness in the air. People that have never owned a gun, there's going to be a run on the guns. Promise you, right? Every time there's a major event moving forward, or there's a major fear, maybe there's not a slight dip and not necessarily a stock market crash either, but somewhere in between where Wall Street just has a horrible day. People are going to start pulling money out of banks because now we're in this Cold War mentality. Promise you, a lot more people are prepping now than they were 5 years ago. I don't know what the actual number is. Anytime I try and look it up, the number's all over the place, but I'm telling you, people are stacking food right now. I see them buying canning jars like crazy when I'm in, my local stores and things, they have plenty. The stores have plenty. I mean, don't panic or anything, but I'm telling you, I did not see that a few years ago. In between the economy and things costing more money and people just having this Cold War mentality and this nervousness in the air, people are prepping again, which is a great thing, but you don't want to be left behind in any of that. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. We should be live tomorrow morning. Folks, y'all take care and God bless.